Assalamu alaikum and welcome to our program where I'm joined by Saif Ahmed Sheikh, who lives in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and I'm living in Guelph, Ontario, Canada.
Walaikum
We
assalam.
are, yes, thank you. We are going to discuss the kind of challenges that are faced by a typical Muslim youth living in the Western society.
Right.
So I invited Seth to come up with his questions, comments, and concerns, and I'll try to make an attempt to respond to them. So yes, Seth, welcome to this program, and let's hear from you.
Right. Thank you, Khalid Zaheer. Thank you for having me. We honored to have this opportunity to discuss some of the challenges. Some of these questions I come up with have kind of relate to me or have also relate to things I've seen in the general youth around the Western world, especially around my friends and my family friends as well. So some of these questions, I want to start off with a question that's kind of relate to me, in the sense that why do you think it is so hard for especially young Muslims in the Western world at a younger age, because as they get older, we see more Muslims gear and come towards their faith, which is good, but it's also like it doesn't happen at as much as a younger age as we see in Muslim countries.
Okay, that's a good question.
Mm,
But let me tell you, Seth, I think even in the Muslim countries,
mm,
the youth of today uh, are facing, in some cases, challenges, particularly those who are now studying at the level of universities where
mm,
they are exposed to new ideas, new
mm,
ways and fashions.
mm,
I think the challenge happens because, on the one hand, our Muslim youth get a feeling living in a Muslim home with a Muslim family
mm.
that they belong to a certain culture and they have to adhere to the expectations of their religion.
Right.
On the other hand, what they see around them when they go to, for instance, their schools, colleges, universities, to the marketplace or elsewhere,
Mm,
what they find is that the world is functioning without following any of the Islamic norms.
right.
They don't believe in what Muslims believe in.
Mm-hmm.
They don't follow most of the religious expectations in their practical lives as Muslims do. And they're okay. I mean, the world
Yeah.
is going fine for them.
Yeah.
So, why on earth is it that my family and my culture, my religion has a completely different approach towards life? So, I think that's the reason why Muslim youth are puzzled. And
Mm,
the reason why, when they grow older, they get adjusted is that, well, they are able to come up with some kind of a response, some kind of a way to adjust. So it
right.
always takes time. So let's not
Mm,
worry about it. It's a part of the process. So,
right.
it has to be that way.
Mm, okay. Yeah, so follow-up question to that, because obviously it's a process in for everybody, no matter what age. And I'm just wondering um if there was ways to not prevent, but like obviously everybody, the young children are gonna go out to the world and in their universities and other schools. Is there a way to kind of minimize the impact that they would have when they see all these type of things um outside of their culture or traditions in the other
Okay.
world?
You know, I think I would not want that to be the case, honestly.
Hmm.
If it happens that a Muslim, young Muslim boy or a girl who goes in a society,
Hmm.
in an atmosphere which is typically Western
Hmm.
and feels completely comfortable. I would not really be particularly excited about it. The reason I'm telling you why is
Mm,
that, our belief, our religion tells us that this life is a trial, it's a challenge. You've
mhm,
got to first make an attempt to understand what exactly this life is all about.
mhm,
Why did our Creator create us? What does He expect from us?
mhm,
Why does life come to an end? What is going to happen after this life? Uh, when we start understanding answers to these questions, we start becoming more comfortable with the life in general on the one hand,
mm.
but you start feeling particularly uncomfortable with the way many people around you are behaving. So
Exactly. Yep.
the kind of anxiety and discomfort that you feel as a
Mhm.
Muslim youngster is understandable. Now, what I want to say in addition is
Yes.
that it should not come to you as something undesirable, something unwelcome. It
Mhm,
should actually be taken as a challenge which you will be able to face and respond to in the
mhm,
best possible manner. In that, what you have understood yourself, you will try to let others know wisely, politely. So you'll have to find a way out. But
mhm.
the challenge, you cannot bypass. It has to be
Oh,
there.
okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the answer. That's very insightful. It's very helpful towards my situation as well. Um, I have another follow-up question for that. This is kind of more in general, not towards my situation, but um, in the general population of the young Muslims. I'm thinking because there's a lot of Muslims who realize the challenge and they are still um, practicing and learning how to deal with those challenges and trying to overcome them. But then there's still those that they participate in the like Western activities that are kind of against what we um are allowed to do, even though when they know it's wrong. Why do you think that still happens?
Seth, the fact of the matter is that
Hmm.
even though the Almighty has certain very clear expectations from us,
Yep.
that we ought to behave in a certain way and we
Hmm.
ought to stay away from a certain uh, set of activities.
Hmm.
Uh, However, my understanding is that many of the expectations that Muslims mention that are important for us to follow are a bit of an exaggeration.
Hmm.
We need to find a balanced way of understanding Islam and
Hmm.
practicing it. I think that is why this challenge is so very important. It's, to me, honestly, very exciting for particularly the youngsters who are living in the Western world, that they have this God given opportunity to learn their religion, the
Hmm.
religion of their creator, in the right
Hmm.
way. And you know how you'll be able to understand and get the right understanding by thinking, by questioning, by talking to others, and using your mind, using your intellect properly.
Hmm.
Learning is an ongoing process, particularly learning religion.
Hmm.
So do not be deterred by the immediate responses, criticisms, statements, comments that are coming from different Muslims. Listen to them.
Right.
Don't ignore anything,
Hmm.
but then try to understand what is the
Hmm.
right point of view. And
Okay.
for you, for all Muslims, the good news is that we have a clear criterion, which is the Quran. We have to look at the Quranic text and see whether what some people are saying is in line with what the Almighty mentions or not.
Hmm.
And, it really has to be an ongoing process. And coming to your question, if you find that there are some youth, Muslim youth, who are behaving in a way which you think is not expected of them, being
Mhm.
Muslims, well, your response should be probably they don't know that what they're doing is wrong.
Mhm.
Probably, even if they have been informed what they're doing is wrong, they're not convinced.
Mhm.
Probably they're not convinced because they have not been informed properly.
Mhm.
Or probably what they're doing is not exactly very wrong. Maybe my
Mhm.
understanding is wrong.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do not find these happenings
Mhm.
problematic for yourself.
Okay.
Uh, Take them as a challenge, an opportunity for you to learn and understand your religion more.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Thank you for your answer. That was a good answer. And really opened my mind towards how to look at these situations, especially from when I'm looking at others' situations as well. Very opening and give me a different perspective of how to look at the situations as well. So I have a couple more questions. This is kind of towards a particular topic, if that's okay. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Why not?
yeah.
Please go ahead.
So I know this is a popular topic amongst youngsters, especially there's marriage, right? Marriage is definitely a popular topic. So I wanted to ask some questions because I know about friends and family under that topic that are going through some of these things. And I know, especially in the Western world, the kind of I don't know. I'm a little bit confused on this myself. So I know in back in Muslim countries, back where I was grew up, there's a little bit traditional roles for men and women. And I'm not sure how do the Quran actually outlines these roles and how our teachings are supposed to outline these roles. But we know in the Western world it is very different from what we learned growing up and learned growing up in Islam. So sometimes these roles get redefined depending on different relationships or marriage. And I just wanted to know what the Quran has to say about this since I'm not very familiar with those texts in the Quran related to this topic.
Brilliant. Brilliant. That is what, Seth, I was mentioning as opportunities to learn.
Hmm.
You see in the Western world that women are playing a role that is very different
Hmm.
from the role which, generally speaking, we Muslims expect from women.
Right.
And obviously, the question arises that can a Muslim woman also behave the same way, or is she expected from her religion something different? Well, honestly, the answer is that there are only a few expectations that the Almighty has from women, as indeed He has from men, Muslim men.
Right. Hmm.
But a good part, a bigger part of what you see Muslim women being expected to perform in the Muslim world or Muslim culture is actually tradition. It has become a part of the culture. Uh, if the circumstances change, you know, they can play a different role, provided
Hmm.
they still remain within the limits and boundaries set forth by the Almighty. Now, what
Right.
are those boundaries? Well, one of them is that family is important. So, whatever you do, whether a man or a woman, you
Mm.
have to respect the institution of family.
Right.
That's where we have all come from.
Hmm.
We cannot do anything, behave in any way that is going to endanger this institution.
Okay.
And for that purpose, uh, we all know that there is this attraction between men and women.
Hmm.
Now, for this attraction to come to its proper, balanced way of getting uh, satisfied, getting properly arranged, is marriage.
Mm.
Uh, when a man and a woman get married, they form a family. Now, family is a very serious part of our society. It's
Mm.
actually uh, that block which when put together, uh, all families are put together, you have
Mhm.
a society.
Right.
So the Almighty would want each of those blocks to be actually strong, firm. And therefore, when you have a family, it has to have a discipline. You ought to have somebody who is in charge of that family.
Mhm.
The Almighty tells us that the one who is to take charge as responsible of the family is the husband.
Mhm.
The wife plays a very important role, in
Right.
some cases, far more important than the husband.
Mhm.
However, when it comes to the ultimate administrative decision making, it is the
Mhm.
husband who has to decide.
Right.
And he is also, as a consequence, responsible to take care of the financial needs of the family.
Right.
Uh, Now, traditionally, Muslim women have been, generally speaking, uh, choosing to stay at home most of their time,
Mhm.
uh, because they are the mothers of the children that they give birth to. Uh, they take care of them in the very early part of a child. It is the mother who really pays more attention to the child,
Yep.
than the father. And therefore, it's quite understandable and natural
Mhm.
that she would probably find it more satisfying for her
Mhm.
to stay at home. However, it is not a religious obligation. She wants to work, she wants to have a career, she wants to do things which would enable her to actualize her talent.
Mhm.
Uh, there's nothing stopping her, provided if she has a family, that is, she's got married to somebody, that she should consult her husband and do
Mhm.
what she wants to do. Probably it
Right.
would be a great idea, and that is what probably most women do now, Muslim women, that before they get married, they, they make sure that the husband they're going to, the potential prospective husband that they're going to get married to, should be the one who, agrees with them as far
Mhm.
as their role is concerned. However,
Right.
the role of a woman as a mother cannot be in any way ignored and set aside.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Thank you. That was a good answer as well. Thank you. It was cleared a little bit of my perspective on what expectations to think when looking for these things, especially for in the general purpose and myself as well, as I'm approaching that age where that becomes a serious topic.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's right. And we look forward to those parts, those important turns in our life,
Mhm.
with a lot of expectations. Why not?
Mhm.
Uh,
Exactly.
you begin a new life,
Mhm.
and you should always look for a partner with whom you have a strong reason to believe that you'll feel comfortable with. That's what all youngsters should do.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Another question I have from a different topic, is kind of um it's about children growing up in the Western society in terms of schooling. I'm talking about like schooling at a young age and curriculum where it's like public school. This is before university, so I'm thinking because what I have noticed in the past decade or so, the curriculum has changed a lot, and there's a lot of things that have been included and that are very against, right, like what we as Muslims believe. There's also been there's not all a lot of the history that is taught in the curriculum in the public school to our children is not at all related to Islamic history, and that's why I feel like so people have or these children when they grow up they have so many questions, and I was just wondering what is there that as parents or guardians that people can do in for their Muslim children that are growing up in these public schools to kind of educate them better on what they are um what they are hearing in the schools as in relation to Islam.
Steph, for one thing, as I said earlier,
Mhm,
let's be clear that what Muslims are saying, what their history is, and what their principles are,
mhm,
can always be correct, can sometimes be correct, and
mhm,
sometimes be uh, not spot on.
mhm.
So we need to be careful there as well.
Okay, okay.
Um, it all depends on who is telling you what.
Mhm,
As I said, the Quran is the ultimate criterion,
mhm,
and we have to very carefully sift what is acceptable from what is not acceptable.
mhm,
Uh, Quite often, I find that there is this emotional rhetoric which is being put across by some people, and uh, not just Muslim youth, others too are given to accept principles, ideas, stories, which
mhm.
may not necessarily be completely accurate.
Right.
Having said that, you know, I said it because I want all Muslim youth to look at and listen to whatever is being put across to them with an open, critical mind.
Mhm,
Uh, However, if parents get a feeling that their kids, if they're exposed to some ideas which are particularly unacceptable
mhm,
from the Islamic point of view, uh, they can go for the alternative education that is now available through uh, a number of Islamic schools that I've
mhm.
seen. I have now been introduced. So that's
Right.
one option. However,
Mhm,
not every Muslim family would go for it
right.
because, for various reasons, they may not be
Mhm,
affordable, they may not be accessible.
mhm,
So, uh, those parents who know that when their kids are going to public schools and they are being taught certain subjects, certain ideas which are not acceptable to us, they should be fully aware of what those ideas are.
mhm,
And they should spend more time with their kids. They should talk to them about those views and tell them that this is what you've heard and this is
mhm,
what our understanding is.
mhm.
And we have this understanding because of these reasons. Saf, our religion is based on arguments, on
Right.
logic.
Mhm,
Uh, I would not have been talking to you honestly for you to ask me questions about Islam and the teachings of the Almighty had I not been convinced that these teachings are actually making a lot of sense.
mhm.
Now, my confidence and hope is that if I am convinced, why would you not be convinced? And
Right.
once you are convinced, why can you not convince others, particularly your own kids? So,
Mhm,
what I'm trying to say is that let's not push ideas down the throat of others, including our kids, forcibly.
mhm,
Uh, Give them space, give them the opportunity to think,
mhm,
to question, to criticize, and let them know what you think is the right point of view. This life has been tailored, designed by the Almighty to be a test, a trial. You cannot take away the trial aspect of this life.
mhm.
All that you can do for yourself and your near ones, dear ones, is that you facilitate them. Let
Right.
them know what the right understanding is and leave it to the Almighty. He has decided to give each and every human being uh, an opportunity to decide freely, to choose what they want to choose. Nobody can force any other person to be guided to the right path. All that we can do is to let others know what the right understanding is, and they should be informed through logic, politely, and in a way that the other person doesn't feel uncomfortable.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Thank you. That really clarifies a lot of the kind of thinking about I have about how to teach this to others, not just children, but to kind of understand how we shouldn't exactly force everything immediately as well on especially on young children as well as their minds are very not underdeveloped as well.
True. And at times you would find that if you would force kids to accept what you're saying,
Mhm.
it can backfire. I
Exactly,
mean, it
had
can
the
be
opposite effect.
counterproductive. They
Yeah.
can they can actually rebel from within.
Hmm.
So let's be careful.
Hmm.
It's a
Absolutely.
very serious, important, delicate task which
Hmm.
should be done in a proper way, as the Quran says, wisely. It should be done wisely.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Uh, that's the main questions I had for
That's great.
today. Okay.
That's great. I would want this process to continue. I don't want this to be my one and the only meeting with you. So I
Absolutely. Yeah.
think you've asked very good questions, and
Hmm.
let's finish this program with this last question of yours,
Sure.
with the hope that whatever you've asked and whatever we discussed is going to be helpful for many other Muslim youngsters living in the Western society. And I
Absolutely.
also sincerely hope that I'll have many more meetings with you of uh, of this nature. Thank you very
Yes,
much, Sam,
inshallah.
for your time.
Inshallah. Yes, absolutely.
Assalamu alaikum wa
Wa alaikum
rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
salam.